Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome to Tabletop Reviews, where I have a company this time. She's probably going to jump down at some point when I start making noise, but now she's up here. Anyways, today I'm talking about Maple Valley, and let's talk about being on time after being out a little bit. I'm now fully on time with it. This has just arrived on Friday. I'm recording this on Monday, and I'm hopefully fucking uploading it Tuesday. So, way on time for this one. This is a Kickstarter and it's actually arrived before time. It said it would arrive December, it has arrived. Well, November it is. You had to think about that one for a second. So yeah, without further ado, I can quickly say Creature Comforts. It's obviously sort of the sequel. She jumped down. Sequel-ish. I mean, it is the continuation of the same universe, but it isn't really a story. Let's talk about the gameplay. Let's see how it's set up and played, and then we'll talk about it.
Alright, let's get this set up. So, of course, rules and box lids down to the side. I don't need those. You have, as always, the big map in the middle, the big board. It is, after all, a board game. Alright, you have the big cards with the red background. You will take 3 random of those, put them right at the top of the map. You will take the big cards with the green background, and you'll take 2 at random and put on the designated spots on the board. And you can grab all of the pointy sundial tokens or sun tokens. Put a pile just to the left at the top left corner of the board, outside the board. Flip over the first tile onto the first designated spot. Then you grab all the triangle pieces. 3 of them have a black background, 3 of them have a white background. The 3 black background are in the top of the board, and the 3 with the white are at the bottom of the board. This is to split up so that one of each of the 3 curiosities in the game are both at the top and the bottom of the map, so there's no segregation here. It's just the simplicity of that. Then you will take all of the, I don't know, round but not completely round tiles. These are difficult to describe when you don't know. I don't know. Some of them have question marks, and some of them have one of 3 flowers on them. The 3 yellow, 2 with both orange and red. These with the flower, the leaf background will go on to the designated spots. The ones with the question marks will go on to the remaining spots. And in the end, you should have 1 question mark remaining. And this, when you flip them to the other side, they show a kind of resource. Now, the question mark token you have left is if in case any spot has 2 of the same kind of resource. You will take the question mark and replace it with that spot's question mark, so that each spot has 2 different resources showing. You'll then take your favorite cards. These are the ones with the purple background and the square, sort of the window almost in the imagery. You put these to the right of the map, and you'll flip over the first 4 cards to sort of form this row here. If any of the cards are the same, because there are duplicates of every single card, well, you will have to replace it with a new card, so that all 4 cards you flipped over are different from one another. I have a resource tray because I have the deluxe version. If you don't have that one, it's simple, just put all the resources and the curiosities at the bottom of the map. You can take all the cards with a yellow background and a sort of snail image, shove them up and put them to sort of the left bottommost part of the map. You will take all of the cards that have a sort of green background, a leaf, where the leaf is white. That's very important. And you will take them at the bottom of the map and flip over the first 4 cards, just as with the favors. If any of these cards are the same, then the same with the favors, you're going to have to replace them. Can't have any duplicates. And the last bit of overall setup are the completely square cards with a teepee as a background, take those to the left of the map and flip over the top 4 cards, and same with every other card. If any of them happen to be the same, immediately replace it. And now it's time for some individual player setup. For this player setup, take your backpack board, take all of the paws for your color, which is of course paws in the deluxe version here, but in the regular version it's just cubes in your color. You take a single map token, place it along the paws. Then you take the card, which is a sort of green background with this time the leaf in your color. This is your starting friend. And you draw a random card to be your a second starter friend. You then also draw 3 favor cards, of which you choose 2 to keep. And those 2 you keep will you place to the left of your player board. The other one will be discarded. These are the favors you're currently working on. You can have a maximum of 3 favors at a time that you are working on, which is on the left side. Once you've made them, you move to the right side, and over here it is unlimited how many you're going to have. Patches are placed below your player board. All curiosities in the left bottom pouch, and all resources in your right pouch, and the middle is for your tired friends. This is when you play your friends. Finally, you take your enemy pool and you place it at the village. Now you're ready to start. Alright, now that the setup is done, let's go over how you play the game. So every turn is basically, well, of course, you have the first worm token. It's the first player token. You give it to the first player. But your turn is very simple. You play a friend card from your hand, and that friend card determines what you can do. Each friend has, of course, the color as described, and that allows you to travel along that color on a trail. All the way, every single trail of that color. Before or after you play a friend card, though, you can play a map to travel along one trail of any color. And if you move across a trail where there is a triangle on, you get the curiosity depicted on that triangle. That will land you in a spot. Every spot has a name and a ability. Now the main ones are the groves. This is where all of the resources are placed. At the groves you get 1 of each or 2 of one of the resources that are showcased at the groves. This is what we distributed earlier with the difficult to explain. Then you have the village, which is the starting spot. This is where you get more friends. You pay the price of the friend, and then you add it to your tired friends pile. The lookout is the next spot up. Here you get 2 maps, and you get a selection of any of the 4 face-up favor cards. Next up again is the clubhouse. This is probably one of the better spots, because you get to place one of your paws up at the festivities. More on that later. You get to choose any of the face-up badges, and you get to draw a favor card from the pile. Next up we have another lodge. The other one was a lookout. This is the lodge. Here you get to pick one of the face-up favor cards and draw one from the pile. And at the very top you have the bluffs. Here you get to get 3 of whatever the sun token for this round is. That is the resource showcased by the sun at the top of the map, and you get to zoom to the village. Now zooming does not count as traveling, which is what it's called when you play a friend. You don't get to do the village action. You only get to do the bluffs action. Now the 2 cards that are flipped out on the trails are the outposts. Here you get to do different actions, and it changes, of course, every game. That's why you choose a random. Basically, you have 3 green sort of squares on the map. These all sort of allow you to trade 1 or 2 things to 1 or 2 things. If at the bottom of it might say, in a little bit of a darker green, might say 2 times or 3 times. You can do these 2 or 3 times. All others is once. And at the bottom brown part of the card, it says again, it's usually trade 1 thing for another. And this also says how many times you can do it, or how many of this resource you can trade to how many of another resource. It's all described on the cards, and it's too much to explain all of them. But you move around, take any of these actions, and then you can build any of your favors If you have the resources for them, you can build as many as you want to on your turn. And, well, now let's explain those festivities. Because when you complete a festivity, or when you of course take the what's it called, the clubhouse action, or I can't remember what they're called, you get to place one of your paws. In this deluxe version, it is a cube in your player color on the festivities. At the clubhouse, you get to choose, but each of the favors has, as described in the top left, a symbol. This symbol you get to place on a clubhouse where they have that same, or no, not on a clubhouse, on a festivity that has that same symbol. When a festivity is filled completely, well, something happens. This affects all players. It is usually a good thing, and the person that finished the festivity, so put down the last paw and filled the clubhouse again, and filled the festivity, gets an extra bonus for doing so. And at the end, they of course score you extra points for how many paws you have. At the end of the turn, you refresh all the lines, which means taking, well, for the patches and the favors, it's the bottom card. For the friends, it is the rightmost card. You discard it and you draw a new one to the leftmost or to the top, as described. So you have a new card for the new round. You flip over the next sun token to see what the sun resource for this round is going to be. If any player has less friends than the remaining players, so let's say one of the players has 3 and the remaining has 2, they get a dawdle card, one of the cards with a yellow background. This card can then, from now on, and whenever the player wishes, be used. It does not have to be used in a round, it is a choice. You play this card and that is all you do for the turn. You get the resource and the curiosity, or the 2 resources shown on the dawdle card, and that is your entire turn. The dawdle card is then discarded at the bottom of the dawdle pile. That is your entire turn if you choose to play a dawdle card. Let's do some scoring here. So, to score, you flip over your backpack here, save everything you have, resources, build, made favors, patches, friends, everything. Then you can take your meeple, where the hell did it go? And you'll score points. So you can score points for your made favors here. First the base points, of course, which is 9 in this case. If any of your favors give you bonus points for some reason, these don't, but you could score those now as well. Then you have your friends actually, and according to the list, it doesn't really matter if you score what first. But your friends of course also provide you with some points here. And then you score points for your patches. And of course, if they give you anything kind of a bonus, you also score that. Holy shit, this was a good bonus. Some of them do, not all do. Then you score points for, if you have 1 honey, it's a point. If you have a map, it's a point. And for every 3 resources you have left, in this count, curiosities do not count. It would be 1 point. And then you score point for your festivities. Any festivity where you have the most, you score 4 points. And if you have a festivity where you have the second most, you score 2 points. If you are tied, you get the better result. And you get 1 point for every single cube, or in this case, of course, paws, that you have placed down. And that is it. In this example, I would get 44 points. And that's how you play. So that is everything. I think I'm going to say this twice now, but let's get back to the table.
That is the setup and gameplay of Maple Valley. I have my quick phone here to actually kind of be on point. This is gonna be, you know, let's do this. So gameplay, first of all, the setup is, there's actually quite a few components. So the setup takes a little bit of time until you learn it, I think. I haven't quite learned it yet, I still guess. But there's quite a few components, quite a lot of cards to set up. But it is worth it. This gameplay, it's simple. It's sort of it's simpler than Creature Comforts, but I would say just as fun. Simplicity isn't always a good or a bad thing, I would. So yeah, I love this card-driven way, like where you have to have these cards to move around, but it is not like focused down on deck building. I'm not overly totally fond of that when deck building is a large part. I compared it to my friend as soon as we opened it. It has some comparisons to Dune Imperium, except I prefer something like this, where the deck building is there and you need to do some of it, but you are not dependent on it. In Dune Imperium, you are very dependent on doing deck building. So, I really like that. And the thing I think is very interesting in this one is, it's very open. All of your resources, all of your curiosities, as it's called, all the cards you're trying to build, or your favors, it's open. The only thing that's hidden is what cards you have in hand, but once you start playing it, people know what you have, they know what you can do. So that's very interesting. And sort of the thing is, I have experienced this. It is trying to just do something before your opponent, because you can't stop your opponent from doing something. An example is, in this one, all the cards usually go in threes. So this card is better with this card, which is better with this card, which is better with this card, the original card. And both me and one of the other players I was playing with, we had two of the same cards, so we needed that third card. And then I see it popping up, and immediately I wanted to go up there and do this, but now I know I have to get to this one before him. End of the day. Not my books. You scratching my books? You have 3 fucking scratching tables downstairs. You damn. Don't get a cat. But we need that third one, so I needed to change around to get to that first, because I knew he was going to get to it. He could get to it because I knew what card he had, so I knew I had to get to it first. And luckily I was before him, so I did. Then it turns out that after drawing a couple of cards, oh, there it was again. So he could get it anyways. That's what happens. But that is something interesting to do with open information. And in a game like this, where it's very friendly, also creature comforts is obviously you can go to the same locations. There's nothing stopping you, except your own cards, and then maybe they get a card before you or whatever. In these kinds of games, this open information doesn't do anything, except it's a little, oh, I got there first. But usually it doesn't stop you, right? There's only the cards. If you get to the cards first, then maybe you don't get the exact one you want, but all of them are useful, basically. Now I have to keep an eye on her. So it works really well with open information. So that's a quick on the gameplay. I'm trying to do it quickly, I don't have to touch on everything in gameplay. Components. So obviously I have the deluxe version here, deluxe Kickstarter version with all the upgraded components. I can only assume that the cardboard components in the retailer version will be at the same quality as the Creature Comforts one, which is it's good, except the resources are quite thin, and I actually have 1 or 2 of the resources that are little that are already not broken. They are useful, but they have scratches and stuff on them that are more than just a nothing, you know. So I can only assume that that's the same, but obviously the deluxe version is lovely, and I want an upgrade to my Creature Comforts. It's lovely, everything is wooden, it's beautiful, you know exactly what you have, great. The only thing I would say is the worm. The deluxe worm looks a lot worse than the pictures of the retailer worm, the first starter worm, definitely. So that's interesting. But other than that, the deluxe is obviously great. The few cardboard components that are in here are again good. They are they're thick, they're good quality. So perhaps it's that upgraded from Creature Comforts they learned and they made it better. And of course, talking about all the cards, they're great quality and the artwork is amazing. I mean, look at the cover here. You're taken in and it is just great. On the map in Maple Valley, there is a section where it's called the town, and it's so clearly what you're playing, Creature Comforts. Everything matches up, and I love that kind of stuff. Obviously, they're gonna do it, but I love that kind of stuff. And the artwork is just great on this one. Everything is lovely and it's cozy, and it really embodies this. You know, it's the spring festival and festival, and it just embodies what it is that you're trying to do, and it's lovely. It's very, very lovely. All right. So let's talk about the theme. So obviously it's a very fun story. You are trying to get ready to the spring festival. I don't know how thematic it is that you do all of what you do in 5 hours. It's a lot of back and forth in just 5 hours. I live in a relatively small town. If I had to do so much stuff in just 5 hours, you get over here to pick up this one, then over here to pick up this one, and over here to pick up, and then go by and pick up your friend. And 5 hours seems like a very short amount of time to do all the things you do here. So that's a little unthematic. But you are anthropomorphic animals is what it's called, which I love. I love animals, and the artwork is always great. It's You can make it so cute, you can make it badass. It's so easy to work with, and this is obviously the cute way, and it is great, and it works with the theme. This your woodland critters, creatures. In this one it's usually critters, but in this one it's creatures. And it just, the artwork and the theme, it sets you in for this cozy mood of trying to get ready for a festival, and it's very awesome. And when you say festival, it's not like that thing that went wrong in '69 Woodstock, right? It's not that. It is a cozy small town festival where you're celebrating some baked goods of spring or whatever, and it really sets you in that with the artwork and the theme. It's great. So does it lie with the 2U, and luckily they put it right here in the front. 1 to 5 players, 8 and up, about 60 minutes. So it's actually supposed to be longer than Creature Comforts. Well, let's do it. 1 to 5, I would say it's probably best at around 3 or 4, just like Creature Comforts, but it works across the board. Of course, I haven't played solo. I don't really play solo, so I can't talk about that. But 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 works really well, but I would prefer that 3 or 4, just to have more movement in the cards and stuff. Let's do the time. I think it's gonna take more than 60 minutes. Same with Creature Comfort, it's gonna take more than 45 minutes. These are longer games than this. I don't know if it's per player or whatever, but it takes more than what it says right here. It does. I think we played it in 2 hours or so, 4 players. Everybody is of course new to the game, but we have also played Creature Comforts in 2 hours after everybody knows the game. So it follows into that one, and it's gonna take more. 8 and up, I felt it was difficult. I felt there was a lot of stuff in here, you had to read it, and how do I do that the proper way, how do I plan it out. But maybe it's just us that's overthinking it. But I would say 10 and up, not 8 and up. Just those 2 years I think are necessary, but maybe we're just overthinking this simple game when we play it, because we're used to it. So my final score for this one is going to be a 9 out of 10, and I think I give Creature Comforts a 9 out of 10 as well. I would say, I'm doing a lot of comparison, it's natural for me. I prefer Creature Comforts, I definitely do. I think that is the better game, it's more worker placement oriented, which I prefer, to this one, which is a little bit of deck building, hand management oriented, sort of. So I prefer Creature Comforts, but this is definitely still a great game, and it is. Am I keeping it? Yes, I am keeping it. It's gonna be put it right there next to Creature Comforts, and I might bring both of them at any given time, because I think they're great. They're fun, and they are very, as I say, cozy, so to speak, and they're friendly. Sure, you can be there before someone, and it can be an annoyance, but they're always just fun, family-friendly, simple games that they're still a winner, but everybody had a nice time playing them. So that is Mabel Ali. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! If you push any of the games down, I'm sending you out. You know it.